Thank you so much for doing this with me today. Could you
You're
please tell
welcome.
us a little bit about yourself and your journey into entrepreneurship?
Yes, so I am Nele van Dessel. I am a bioengineer by training, and I did both my undergrad and my PhD in Belgium. And that's where I came across my first problem. I worked on a protein that was a nuclear scaffold protein. And so I showed that in both in cancer, upregulation and downregulation could kill cancer cells. Applied to a lot of Ivy Leagues in the US to do a postdoc in epigenetics. But I also looked at bacterial cancer targeting. And at that point, there were 8 labs in the world focusing on that. And I found Neil Forbes's lab at UMass Amherst. So I applied to his lab, and so we made a bacterial delivery system for delivering drugs to solid tumors. Once we raised money from government funding, SBIRs, he could no longer be the CEO according to his conflict of interest statement. And
Oh,
so for I think the next year and a half, we were CEO-less, and I was a CSO, but basically doing everything a CEO does. And I think in 2018 we just flipped it. We said, okay, I'm becoming CEO, basically putting the title on what I was already doing. And that's how I started running the company. So I always call myself the reluctant CEO because my goal was to translate the technology, not per se to run the company. I think in total now we've raised $2 million in non-dilutive funding, all from SBIR grants and other local grants. And I think the biggest difference in writing that was like really gaining the business perspective. So before that, we were very scientific focused, and writing SBIRs really had to focus like, okay, for example, the safety of what we were doing. When we started looking around, so first as a postdoc in Western Mass, originally coming from Belgium, I was not very connected into the Boston VC network, and getting access to that was really hard. So looking into getting the amount of funding we needed for what was a very high risk project at that point, we immediately went to let's just start writing grants. I mean, honestly, it was also something we were good at because we did it as
hmm.
scientists, so we could do it as business scientists. And so we started the LLC in 2016 because you need to have the LLC in place to start writing grants. And then we started writing grants. It took us 3 tries to get our first SBIR. And then we got lucky. We both got one from the NSF and the NIH at the same time. So in 2018, when those both came in, we could start running. We were also then, I'm also an immigrant. So we also had some visa issues that had to be sorted out before I could start working on the grants. So it was a bit difficult. And for all immigrant founders that need solutions for that, please come find me because it is a difficult maze to get through. It's a bit of a chicken and egg. You can't be a PI or work if you don't have the right visa, but you can't get those if you don't have the funding. So at Ernest Pharmaceuticals, we are engineering bacteria to treat solid tumors. So we have created an attenuated salmonella strain that we inject into the body. It courses throughout your whole body. In the healthy tissue, it gets cleared, while in the tumors, it can grow. The same mechanisms that allows solid tumors to grow in your body is what allows bacteria to grow in those tumors, which means that they can target every tumor out there, independent of the organ or the genetic profile of that tumor. We've also combined this with several cytotoxic compounds that will kill the cancers. And we currently have 2 lead programs. And for our first lead program, we have a lead candidate and hope to be in the clinic with that candidate by 2027. All of this has been funded with non-dilutive funding. We started the company as an LLC in 2016 to basically to get grant funding. The LLC has to be there before you can get the grant. Then we applied 3 times for the first SBIR. So we applied for the both NSF and NIH. For the NSF, we got it from the first time. For the NIH, we had to apply 3 times before we got one. And this is also a tip. You have to just keep applying until you get one. Don't give up after the first time they say no.